We're back here in the final segment of our program, Jones and Company, and we have an able lawyer here today who is very articulate, as you can hear, who is running for the presidency of the Bar Association of the Bahamas. Very young, but as they say, seems to be heavy on material.
I thank you.
Yes, Mr. Burrows, trust. We talked about that a little bit. Integrity. And you have a platform to bring up the level of integrity
and
trust of your bar.
Yes, Mr. Jones.
Give me some specifics.
So some specifics I can give. One, you might be surprised to believe, or you might not be surprised to believe, but now the membership and the Bar Association does not publish its financial statements. So dues are collected from the Attorney General's office, all the private firms. If QC applications come, they have to pay a certain amount. So the fact is that monies are coming in, and what I think needs to happen and to restore the public trust and restore the trust of the membership is, on my platform, I want to, going forward, publish and make available all the financial statements to keep in line with other associations, the accountants. I'm a member of STEP, Society for Trust and Estate Practitioners, and the financial statements are all published. So I think that part of restoring trust is being transparent and accountable. I think that another issue that needs to happen is that there needs to be transparency in governance. I looked, and my time in England, if you go on the English counterpart to the Bar Association, Bahamas Bar Association, the members' minutes, all official meetings of the members are published on the website. And I think that needs to happen here, because the Bar Council, at the end of the day, you're discussing issues that affect the wider membership. And I think members of the public and the members of the bar, just on that alone, if they're able to peer in and see that, hey, and touch and feel that where any other organization there doesn't need to be some high status or some unreachable status to us, I think then that'll help the public to see that, and help in mending and restoring the trust. There needs to be education, and I wouldn't stay on this long because we've addressed this at length, but there needs to be education in the internal workings and the processes of the Bahamas Bar Association.
Godfrey mentioned backlog of cases.
Yes.
And there is a backlog on the criminal side as well as the civil side. There are thousands of cases on the criminal side.
Yes.
As, let's say, you're president of the Bar Association, what recommendations would you give to reduce the backlog on the criminal side and the civil side?
In terms of the judiciary, well, I'll deal with it in twofold. And speaking with persons on criminal prosecutors yesterday, I find that, one, there needs to be, and this I think is tied to better working conditions and advocacy for its members. So, for the members of the Attorney General's office, and speaking up for when it's right for the judiciary. But I would say this, that there needs to be, I think, more focused training for persons and more programs that would assist in certain areas, especially on the criminal side. There needs to be, quite frankly, more persons hired. I looked in the deaths as I was passing of a lot of the members and the prosecutors, and they have to be overworked. I mean, the caseload, and my as a lawyer myself, I know that sometimes the caseload can be quite a lot.
But wouldn't you suggest the case management process that is clearly defined, so that some of the bugs can be taken out, some of the issues eliminated?
Yes, no, I agree. I agree that an evaluation and with consultation with the persons there, I think that I'm sure that there could be things ironed out. But I want to educate the public and let them know that what I saw was quite a different picture from what is painted sometimes. And I saw a person's hardworking, very much at work, very much trying to battle the amount of cases and the caseload that comes in.
Is the situation improving?
I think...
we mentioned swift justice earlier.
Yes.
On. Is it improving? Because at the rate that we are going, hearing the number of cases that we are hearing, we are going to have a serious problem in the criminal justice system.
Well, I think...
it's going to deteriorate, exacerbate.
Well, what I think needs to happen, and I think there are some improvements, and other areas obviously needs more attention than others. But I think the real issue here is working together to solve those issues. And I also think it's better education in terms of, on both sides, in terms of, for instance, if a file comes from the police with the Swift Justice Program and it goes to the Attorney General's office, I think there needs to be more collaborative efforts. I think what needs to happen is, and a lot of times the Bar Association in past has not listened to the persons and the prosecutors at the Attorney General's office.
You talk about collaboration. Does the Bar Association have input into legislation that's being drafted? I mean, do you ever propose legislation to the government? Because you're in the world of work, all right? You're not the government's lawyer. You're in the world of work, right? And there may be aspects of your work which the Attorney General's office is not familiar with or doesn't come across because they deal more or less with government business.
Yes.
And we talk about how slow it is in the Bahamas in terms of its rating, in terms of being able to process applications, right? Do you all propose legislation? Shouldn't Bahamas be doing this?
I think what needs to happen, and this is part of the platform of transparency, I don't want to sit there and say that persons have not been doing that. I can pretty much stand and say that there is input from the Bahamas Bar Association. There isn't as much as I would like, and if elected, I would engage persons who are well versed in certain areas. See, I think one person doesn't need to speak on every issue. I think the whole point is that you reach on your membership, and where they're specialists in certain areas, you bring their specialization to the fore. But what I will say is that if legislation is proposed, because in my practice I know that I work on new legislation as in trust. So I have worked on the Trustees Act and proposed along with persons. But I just want to finish the point. What I'm saying is I think there needs to be better education on when input is given, and it needs to be public forums. It doesn't need to be a closed process. I think part of the problem is that we don't have enough consultation. We don't have enough public forums. We don't have enough persons showing the work of the bar and what it can be, and that's why I want a chance, and that's why I would ask the membership to look at the platform and vote for change. Let's not go with more of the same. I would say that inefficiency dressed up as strategy is still inefficiency.
Mr. Burrows.
So watch out for those that attempt to bring about something that is dressed up as a strategy, but it's still more of the same.
Mr. Burrows, you're very long on talk, You're a good talker, right? But you're in an area, financial service, that's declining, all right? That sector of the economy is declining, right? And one of the reasons why it's declining, because you're not putting on the market attractive products.
No, I can disabuse of you of that notion.
It's not declining?
No, I didn't say it's not declining. I'm disabusing you of the reason why you're saying.
Well, that's not one of the reasons you don't have attractive products to attract the wealth
No,
sector?
I will say this.
Come on.
No. We have products as the Icon, Bahamian Icon that we have just put out. But what I would say is this: as you know, there's automatic exchange of information now. I would say that certain legislation that and it's not necessarily the Bahamas Bar Association or the financial members. It is regulation and legislation that is passed that has crunched the financial services sector. But I believe that we're signing on, so now we have to sign on in terms of automatic exchange of information to a multilateral agreement. But certain agreements, the United States has not signed off on.
Or OECD countries.
Yes, yeah. So it's not a matter of the Bahamas Bar not doing, or persons in the financial services industry not doing what they're supposed to do, not doing enough. I beg to differ that we
I get the impression, right?
quite dynamic in trying to come up with solutions.
But do you offer suggestions to the government with respect to tweaking legislation? Do you propose legislation to the government for the improvement of the sector?
Yes, we do. The industry, and I think this is something too that needs to be the public needs to be educated on, because this very much goes on behind the scenes among the membership of the legal fraternity. Consultation and happens very often, but I think what needs to happen is, in addition to consultation with the members of the Bar Association, there needs to be consultation with the public, because at the end of the day, although lawyers may be well versed in the law and interpreting the law, it affects the public, and they have a just amount of right to provide their views and how it would affect them. And I think that is what is missing from what is happening now, that I don't think consultation and putting laws to the government is an issue. I think it's education and bringing in the public.
Mr. Burrows, I get the impression, right, that the Bahamas always reacts. You're never in a situation where you, in some way, trying to determine the tempo of when the OECD and these entities bring certain regulations into play. You're always reacting.
Well, I can accept part of that criticism that generally we are reactionary, but I don't accept it in the round. Why I say that is because a lot of times the Bahamas, and some of it, the Bahamas Bar Association has to work with the government. You propose legislation and now it has to be approved by cabinet and go through. So a lot of times legislation have been proposed. We have now amendments to the Legal Profession Act that I support, that would widen the scope, that would make it a body corporate, that would make it now it's a statutory body.
Yes.
So it would make it a body corporate.
You're getting more power.
No. That's not more power. That's more giving it a legal personality instead of power.
But you want powers now, so you want more power.
No. Well, if you look at the Legal Profession Act, for instance, one section of what's being proposed to be amended is to widen the executive committee for more help to address some of these issues.
But you have a bar council now.
We have a bar council.
And the bar council has certain powers.
Yes.
All right.
But the Bar Council is made up of only, when you look at the act, only 10 members doing the work of the whole Bahamas, and inclusive of the island. So I think the Legal Profession Act is to, for instance, it's going to introduce, in addition to secretary and assistant secretary.
The Bar Council is responsive, they respond to who? The Bar Association?
Well, no, the Bar Council is the body that abides by Section 5. It has a mandate in the Legal Professions Act, and it has a mandate. So the Bar Council ensures that the mandate is carried out amongst the membership.
And that mandate is to do what?
Well, the mandate is very wide. The mandate can be to educate the public. The mandate is to uphold the standards of integrity and etiquette amongst the profession. The mandate
So even though you might have a platform about integrity and all of that, it's still the Bar Council that really is the supreme authority, isn't it?
Well, that's why I have persons also a part and who are involved in supporting me, who are running for that change. And I say that a vote for me will be a vote for change, because we do have persons willing to go in the trenches with myself.
Change from what to what?
Change from a lack of transparency and accountability to greater transparency and accountability, to a lack of efficiency to greater efficiency, a lack of benefits. There's no tangible benefits, believe it or not, to being a member of the Bahamas Bar Association, in the sense that
What kind of benefits would you want being a member of the Bar Association?
So, for instance, health insurance. I've spoken to...
You get that from your law firm, from the firm that you work with.
Yeah, but...
A huge or a firm that is number one of the big four.
And this is...
So what you want from the Bar Association?
No, I want to work together with the membership to get it for all. It's the least of these, you know. It's not that I have it. I do have a very good health insurance, but what I want now is to come together as a collective. Why can't the Bar Association go to some of those insurance firms and get health insurance for its members and negotiate?
Yeah, but one of the problems that the average lawyer has is the extent to which most of the corporate work goes to the
big firms.
The big four.
Yeah.
Well,
and the little man is not getting a good share of what is in the offing. Now, how are you going to fix that? How are you going to tell lawyer Joe Blow, who has a little firm down the road, that you are looking out for his interest when you remember the big four?
Well,
that's your final question.
Yeah, well, what I want to do, and what I would say to persons would have that thought, is that there needs to be, and I see that there are issues, and I've heard members call me and say the same thing and how I will address it. But what I've always told those members is there needs to be proper regulations. There needs to be regulations in place. For instance, if you look at
what regulations? If you got to live and let live.
No, I know.
You're living high on the hog.
No.
And the little man down there's not getting any work. How are you going to ensure that he's going to get some work? Well, you won't be president.
No. Part of that now is on my platform, and I think that's a loaded question that deserves a loaded response.
Simple response.
No. So
how are you going to give that man some work?
First of all, you have an education. Now, a lot of persons have been complaining, and I think it's not quite right, but some persons feel that some of the small practitioners are not efficiently or are not appropriately up to a certain standard of education. But I think now the education needs to be at those, maybe whether it's banking institutions, to disabuse them of the notion that those persons can actually do the work and do it well.
Yeah, but you qualified him. You say he's qualified to practice law?
Yeah, no.
You say that.
What I'm saying is the education. I think that sole practitioners get painted with a broad brush and a bad brush, and I think it's incumbent upon the Bar Association to be advocates, especially for the small firms, and fight for them, and that's what I intend to do. I intend to fight for them so they could get the work and let everyone know that they're just as capable, and I'll say it, just as our firm, they're just as capable as anyone else. They deserve it.
Okay, you just got 4 or 5 votes as a result of that answer. Thank you so very much for being here today.
Thank you.
You're very kind to come.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Good. Thank you, Godfrey Innes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching and listening to our program today. Good evening, everyone.